Hello, everyone. Welcome to NODventures. My name is Varun John. This is going to be a new podcast series brought to you by NODWIN Gaming. I'm going to be one of the hosts, and your co-host is going to be Zera Angela Gonzalez. How are you doing, Angela?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited that this is our first podcast. We've finally been able to get everything together to make this happen. And even more exciting because we have two exceptional people today to join us. We have Terence, Ice Baby. We're going to find out from him why he calls himself Ice Baby. And of course, we have Monica looking very beautiful in red today. How are you guys doing?
Um, Tired actually. It's like 11 p.m. here in Malaysia, and also, I'm trying to be as quiet as possible to not wake my kid up. That's
Okay,
about
so
it. But other than that, I'm having fun.
So, like, three of us are in the same boat wherein it's like almost late for us. But Monica, she's joining us all the way from North America, where it's super early.
Yeah, I just woke up and just got ready and came over. I knew for you guys it would be pretty late, and then but yeah, so the sun just rose maybe like 4 hours ago here.
wow, that's nice. That's a great part. Actually, the best part about being gamers, I think we all wake up at different hours. It's night and day at all given points of time. But of course, talking a little bit about Terence, Ice Baby, he's from Malaysia. I've known him for quite a while. We worked together till about 2016. He also is a general manager from Bigetron. We're going to ask you all about that. He handles their social media, team management, and so many other fronts. I'm so excited that he is our first guest, of course, here today. And recently he did have a baby. That's why he's super silent. She's only 5 months old, so we don't want to wake her up. And Monica on the other side, of course, Varun, you can go ahead and give us our introduction.
Yeah, so Monica is one of the pioneers for North American esports and North American PUBG Mobile scene. She is the manager for the PUBG Mobile team for Tempo Storm, which is a pretty big organization. She used to be a manager for one of the first lineups to get sponsored in North America. That's a huge feat. A caster as well, a stream. So you juggle a lot of things over there. And okay, so I just realized we have four casters with us, and this is going to be an all-caster panel.
All caster panel.
So, a very warm welcome to you guys, and thank you for being with us tonight. So, I guess we can get this party started finally. And right off the bat, it's going to be one of the most common questions that I'm guessing, since you guys, all three of you are influencers, all of you get asked this a lot from players usually. How important of a role does being an influencer, having a social media influence, play in the life of a professional player?
I think when it comes to social media, right? It's important just because it's like an opportunity for us to actually engage with our friends, our audience, friends, and family. Just as social media states as well, it's more like it's a place for us to connect as many people as possible. So how important it is, it's just for you to actually talk to people or just connect in general. So I think like how important it is, it's hard to actually say how important it is because people just ignore it. It's just like, oh, I'm here for the news and stuff like that. But it's not just about getting data on from anywhere. It's also for you to talk and find out. Just like what we're doing as well, it's a way of socializing for us. We're using a media platform. We're talking to from you guys from India. Also, we're also talking to Monica from all the way in the States as well. And it's like it's for us to talk and discuss. Maybe how do I put it? Trade informations, I guess. I don't know. It's I don't know. But yeah.
All right, Monica, what do you have to say about this one?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think being a professional player, that's not going to last forever, right? You know, you see some professional players in PUBG Mobile right now. You're not going to be until you're 80-year-old playing PUBG Mobile, being a professional. So being able to build that kind of social media platform, something that's going to extend even past when you are a professional player for a game, I think that's going to be something that's going to be able to, you know, for you to be able to kind of make a career out of it, or something to kind of carry you. Because once, you know, say, you know, the next game comes out and everyone starts moving over to that new game, you know, you're going to have to start completely from fresh if you don't have any sort of social media. And especially if, you know, some of us here, we're part of really big orgs. A lot of these organizations, they're looking to have an outlet for their sponsors to be able to kind of promote themselves. So if you are a professional player and you want to get signed to an org, if you have no social media standing whatsoever, so say a sponsor like I'm just gonna throw out like G Fuel, G Fuel, Red Bull, Monster, like those kind of sponsors that will sponsor an org. They're looking at how big of kind of clout, how big of a fan base do your professional players have that can really promote our products and push that. So social media, definitely one of the most important things for a professional player.
Absolutely, I do agree. I mean, even in India, even though we come from such different kinds of countries, if you do have a brand name behind you, it definitely helps you grow quickly. It also helps you join new rosters quickly because people know you, brands know you, organizations know you, and you get picked up. And that definitely brings me to my next question, that when we look at influence and performance, what defines the success of a player or the organization?
I think it comes down to first of all, because influence helps friends, fans, family, right? And like what Monica said as well, it's a place for brands to also advertise their product and etc. But also it also creates like a place for us to communicate with our fans, because we, as a brand itself, we also need to cater to our fans and our community. And when we talk to our community, we want to know what they like and what they don't like. There are things that, for example, we talk about the gameplay, there are our design, or maybe even our players' attitude and etc. So all these things is super important for influence. So, and that's for the influence side. But if we're talking about performance based as well, of course, we're talking about prize pools. We are talking about representing our country, making our country proud, and it comes down to both. Both needs to actually go up together. But if I were to choose between influence and performance, I feel like influence has a slight plus over performance, just because of how much more thing you can do with your social media or your fans piece here. And like what Monica said as well, when it comes down to, oh, let's say you're switching a different game, you need your social medias, you need your fans, your supporters, your followers to help you out boost, or maybe even help you out to find other players, or maybe even potential sponsor who are looking for someone to sponsor. So reaching out to as many people as possible is going to be helpful in the long run, regardless of your performance. Because I've seen organizations who survive based solely on influence, and it's not just based performance. Because performance, in the end of the day, you're looking for the best team, and best team are usually one. And compared to performance influencers, there are a lot of different kind of influencers, and different brands have multiple choice to choose from instead of just choosing the best team. So when it comes down to what both comes there, I think both are equally important. But choosing between influence and performance, I'll definitely choose influence first, in a way.
So, Monica, before I would like to add something. So, you used to be, as I said, you're one of the pioneers for the North American PUBG Mobile scene, and you used to be a pro player yourself. So, from a player's perspective, how would you go about this?
So, I would say that you definitely need to have some sort of performance skill to, get yourself known for. You can't, somebody who doesn't have any sort of skill will not be able to make it there as a pro player or make it there as a success. But, I definitely agree with what ICYBABY was saying is, both of them I'd say are very, very important equally, but I think performance will only get you so far, and influence will be the one to get you even further. I know there's certain orgs that, they care a little bit more about kind of building the story about a team rather than just, hey, we're just going to pick up the best team in this game, and then that's going to be it. Because sometimes those teams also, nobody wants to root on a team that just can't. I mean, I guess not nobody, but it's kind of the story of kind of like an underdog, or the story of being invested in the story of a team and seeing them grow from a team that, like I'll say Temple Storm, like when we first got picked up, we had a very rocky start. I think we just weren't kind of put together. We didn't have the right roster, and now we kind of over the course of a year we've been able to build up a team that's one of the top teams in North America, and I would say the world as well. So having that influence, having that kind of story that people can buy into will also define the success of that player and that organization as well.
What happens when you're a good player, maybe you're even a great player, but you are not on social media? What are your ways of noticing a player like that?
Noticing a player that's not on social media?
Yeah, like maybe he's not active, or he doesn't have a lot of fan following, but he's really good. So how, as an organization, do you find a player like that?
I've done this. We've scouted some players before, and we just I know this kind of it's definitely way harder to try to find those kind of players if they don't have social media, and then but I think I've noticed certain players that so I stream our like Temple Storm Pro scrims every single week, and I've been doing that for almost a year and a half now, and just seeing those players that play week after week, and I have stats I track, the top 5 fraggers of the week or after every single match, and there's always these certain players that are always on those top 5, and I go to tag them on social media, and they don't have a Twitter, they don't have an Instagram, so you just type out the name. But I think those are some ways that those players that don't have social media can get noticed, if they're just constantly performing and outperforming those pros in kind of stream scrims or kind of broadcasted tournaments like that. And then I've also seen some players that are really, really good at gun skill, and they'll ask to 1v1 these pros. And I kind of heard murmurs through the pro scene previously. It's like, oh, that kid, he beat that guy on Pittsburgh Knights, and he beat this guy on this team over here, maybe. And then everyone starts to want to 1v1 this guy because they want to test their skills. So I think being confident of having the skill to kind of go head to head against these pros is another way to get noticed.
Right. So I think that's a very good one for a lot of Indian players, because we have a lot who are really good in the game, but at the end of the day, they just want to play the game. They don't want to concentrate on their brand.
Yeah.
And that definitely brings me and Varun to our next question, a very important one, honestly. How does a pro player build their personal brand to be able to be noticed by an organization and then go ahead and become an influencer?
I think when it comes to building a personal brand, you got to identify your strength and weaknesses, and trial and error is the most important things as well, especially growing your brand. Because in the end of the day, if you stop trying and just hope like, hey, I just want that one best thing and bam, it's going to work, it's impossible. You got to try like at least 100 to 200 times before you actually find one that actually works for your brand. So like for me, it took me quite the longest time here. It took me like about 4 years before I actually found my own brand. And it's like one of my fans, a community, who just come to me and talk to me here. They will come up straight up and tell you, oh my god, I love this about you. I like this about you, and they'll tell me that this, and they will also tell me that, oh, I didn't know you did this before, I don't think I like that so much. And this is where you try to identify what works, what doesn't work. And when it comes to people with different kinds of strengths and weakness, there's no one true way. Like there are just some people who are really, really bad at the game, and they still build that around their brand. They're so bad at the game, and they should not be playing the game, and they become famous, and it's still a brand. And or they're just so godlike, they're so good at the game, but when they go to the tournament, they just choke, and they know him as the choker. So it becomes a meme, in the community itself. So when it comes to brands here, there are no one right brand. Like whatever you think in your mind, hey, I want to build my brand like this. You got to have this mindset. It's great, but I'm telling you for a fact, this thing in your mind that you want to have as your brand will not be the actual end game product of what will eventually become your brand. Because truthfully speaking, I wanted my brand. I want to be a pro player. Guess what? 5 years later, I'm a caster. Yeah, that didn't happen to what I was expecting. In between, I'm also doing events management, team management, etc. And my brand was just evolving constantly. So expecting your brand to be something you want in your head, it's a dream. But in the end of the day, it's the process, the growth of how you choose, and the trial and error. It's keep moving on. Like don't stop creating, don't stop innovating yourself, don't stop imagining what you can do. And that's what makes you special as a brand, because there are no same brands in this entire world. There are multiple similar brands, but why does every single brand look different? Why do they have this different? What stands out for them? So being unique in your own way, it's what helps you build your brand. And you have got to always achieve to try and strive on to be better than anyone else. And that's pretty much how I feel like you got to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And that's how you focus on building your brand first, for me.
I actually agree with that. A lot of different people have a lot of different personalities, and you have to find what works for you. I'm forgetting the name, but the Fortnite player for the side of TSM was I was watching one of his videos where he was describing his sort of transition from being a pro to a streamer, and it wasn't an easy transition because when he was at his peak, when he was performing, there were views coming, but once the performance started to drop, the views sort of went away as well. And from there on out, instead of being this high elo, high level of skill streamer, he went on to being an entertaining streamer where he would do this weird sort of voice on stream, and that sort of became his thing. Monica, you being a streamer, how sort of does this define you if you are transitioning from being one sort of a personality online to another one?
Yeah, I think I personally went through this kind of right when I first started streaming. I think I was kind of like every other PUBG Mobile streamer, right? I would get on, start streaming, and I would basically have, I have this joke with my friend that majority, like the PUBG Mobile streamer starter kit is one scene with you playing, and then another scene is just you hiding the ID and pass when you're getting into the room or scrim room or tournament room or whatever. And that's kind of all it was. So, I would say kind of like 90% of PUBG Mobile players and PUBG Mobile streamers, it's exactly the same. So it's really really difficult to build, I think, a personal brand when somebody's watching your stream and you're basically it's exactly almost the same as every other majority PUBG Mobile streamers. So something that I've been doing a lot more in the past is kind of building that personal brand. If I want to go play a different game, or if I just want to just chat with my viewers or just chat with my my stream, making the stream more about you rather than just kind of about the game. So I'm putting you as the focus and building that personal brand than just making the game the focus. So I think one of the biggest things that I really focused on this past year was kind of building a community, like kind of what I touched on before. People want to invest in a story. They want to invest in you or invest in somebody that they, kind of been with along the way. Somebody who that, they can interact with. I think that's the biggest thing of, like YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, like are all these platforms for streaming. It's people want to watch a streamer for the interaction. If they just want to watch a video, they can just watch a YouTube video, right? So I think that's something as a streamer to really build is like work on your interactions, work on, if somebody comes in a chat and they're talking about something, remember that person for next time when they come back. Like, oh, you said that, no, ICYBABY, you just had a baby. How's your baby doing? Sort of thing. Drawing kind of those personal connections, building that brand, making them feel at home in your stream, and that will make people come back time and time again, and they can really kind of morph your stream into their own, basically, and give them somewhere to come back to all the time.
A lot of players in India are big on YouTube, but they still lack the sort of the influential power, the numbers, if you say, on Instagram. So, but on the other hand, some people are going to be big on some platform and basically short on numbers on the other. So which platform do you focus on if you want to get sponsors or if you want to get picked up by an org?
I think when it comes to the social media platform, it comes down to your own region as well, because I like how now we have three different regions to talk about here, because I'm from Malaysia and I also have experience with the States and also from China social media. And Monica's from the States, and we have Angela and John who's from India as well. And I'm pretty sure that from the States, you guys focus mainly on Twitter and Reddit. I think so. But from Malaysia, it's more on Facebook, Instagram for Indonesia. And for China, it's on a different social media, which is, I think, Weibo and Douyu. And so when it comes down to social media, right, you use what you represent. Like, if let's say you're in, okay, I'm going to say I'm in Malaysia, I should be focusing on social medias which Malaysians use, because you want to get influence or brands to sponsor you, you gotta help. You gotta start with locals first. You don't start with international. You gotta start from like baby steps, like locals, and then reach to like the Southeast Asian level. Then after that, go towards the world stage and slowly build up from there. So like one of the most notable brands as a gamer for me personally, globally, Shroud is number one for me. I don't know, but that's Shroud. Like if you think back before Shroud begins, they even did a documentary about him. They started from here, and then he slowly became to where he is. So for us, it all comes down to like our social medias. Like Malaysia, we focus mainly on Facebook, and Instagram comes second. And I believe India, like you said as well, focus on mostly on YouTube. And as hard as it seems here, in Malaysia, we also focus on YouTube, but the influence compared to Facebook and Instagram is not that great for us Malaysians yet. It's still growing. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's still growing. I've seen YouTubers who have really, really good success in YouTube as well, but most of them are slowly transitioning to Facebook and Instagram because at the end of the day, we want to reach out as many audiences as possible. And talking about social platform, I know lately there are hearsays from my community. Most of them are jumping in towards TikTok, which is quite surprising because I'm like, what is this? People are just making funny stuff, but guess what? It's interesting and it's working because if you like, I've seen insane amount of reaches from people making a TikTok video for like 10, 30 seconds and it reached like millions and millions of views. I'm like, but it's so funny. Who is this guy? Wow. And it comes down to whether it works or not. So I think like investing into TikTok is great, but you can try it out first. But it eventually it comes down to your country's social media contacting you and whether or not they want to approach you as a partnership. So which platform, you got to figure it out based on yourself. Where are you living? First things first, where are you living? Then ask your friends. What do your friends use? You guys use Twitter. You guys use Instagram. Blah 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 blah. And to grow your social media, your first few followers are going to be your friends and family. They will not be your loyalist fans of followers ever, but they will be your first few. Talk to them first, and then from there it works. Talk to your friends, and then your friends' friends. Blah 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 blah, and then slowly you develop your own community and figure out what works. I guess that's pretty much it from my side.
Terence, what's your favorite personal platform that you like? Do you like TikTok now?
No. Right now I'm focusing on Instagram. Because like I've tried Facebook like for years, it just didn't work out for me. Like personally, but my friends are all full Facebook all the way through and worked out for them. However, what made me grow for my influence on Instagram, which was quite surprising. Like I didn't expect it to grow. So now I'm sticking with Instagram for a bit, but I still try to juggle between Facebook and Instagram. It's just that both platforms have different kind of algorithm as well. So when it comes to digital marketing and etc., this is things that not many people know. It takes time to actually try and analyze, figure out. So it's all about homework, I guess, when it comes to that.
And Monica, how does this entire thing look over in North America? Because as Terence said, the platforms are different for our regions. In India, it is YouTube and Instagram. Instagram has been growing more than YouTube in the recent days. And even I think North America has Twitter at its center, right?
Yeah, I would say Twitter is probably the number one just social media platform for all of North America to use. And I remember I didn't really realize this until I think I had some followers, or whenever I streamed on Twitch or all of the different platforms and stuff, and say, oh, what's your Twitter? It's like, oh, South America, we don't use Twitter. We use Instagram or we use Facebook, sort of thing. So I definitely, it's something I became more recently aware that different regions use different platforms. So I would definitely recommend kind of branching out. A lot of times sometimes I'll test it. Yeah, I'm really focused on building my Twitter, and then I'm really focused on building my Instagram as well. And I'll kind of post the same thing and just kind of watch it grow. And then definitely, knowing I think knowing when to post is also very important. Kind of knowing when your followers are awake. If you post, at the dead hours when everyone's asleep, or no one's really kind of checking Twitter, then it's going to get overlapped by somebody who posted a little bit short while after, and kind of no one's really going to see your post. So I think also you can look into the analytics of your social media platform and kind of see, when did you get the majority of likes or interactions with your posts, and kind of see and kind of time out your posts that way as well. So I think just kind of trying, just trial and error, like ICYBABY said, posting on multiple different platforms, find the one that works for you, or just keep post on all of them, and you can expand how far you can reach as well. And one thing to touch about TikTok, I really like how TikTok does it, is if you make a TikTok and the first couple videos I think that you make, they are featured kind of on the main homepage of TikTok. So I think it's very easy, not easy, but a lot easier to grow on TikTok than some of these other platforms. And I think just overall on just platforms, just make sure you're active. Like I see people who make a Twitter and they're like, why aren't I growing on Twitter, or why am I not growing on Instagram? Well, you post, once every 3 weeks on Instagram and don't really interact with other people's posts. So I think just make sure, if you are committed to growing that platform, make sure you're very interactive on it and make it your priority.
Oh, now I feel guilty now, Monica. Guilty as charged, because I post 3 weeks once, 2 weeks once, because
you did. I did that too. At the very beginning when I used Twitter, it was just like, why am I only at 100 followers? Oh, because I'm not even on this website that much. So I think just be on it and make people be on it to interact with you.
I actually agree with both of you said, because I was not like I'm not a social media person. I don't go on Instagram. I don't I did not used to post pictures. As Monica said, wasn't interacting with anyone, and I was wondering, I'm casting tournaments. I'm on the camera a lot of time. I have shows on national TV, but why isn't my social media growing? And then sort of one of the biggest Indian influencers, a friend of mine, Ocean, he sort of pointed it out, exactly the things that Monica said. Watch when your audience is liking your post. Watch most of the times, you have this insights feature once you turn into the business profile, and you have to keep a track of that. And that actually matters a lot. And regularly posting contents is also a big deal. You need to post pictures. My sort of Instagram grew going into PMCO this time. I was starting at 300 Instagram followers, because as I said, it was dead for the last 2 years since I made the account. And then during that time, Ocean sort of started tutoring me on how to grow my social media, and I started posting these sort of mini vlogs that were 10-second stories but complete raw, and that sort of made it within a month went from 300 to 1,000, and now I've stopped doing that, so it's stagnant again. But you sort of start seeing a difference over there, which sort of brings. I think I can transition it from here. Once you have the influence for a player, the next thing that comes is going to be sponsors and brand placements.
I think it's a whole commitment when you're making a personal brand. I mean, you either go all the way or you don't start. And I think that's something that a lot of players don't see when they begin. They think, okay, they're doing really good and they're going to pull through, but it's every day. It's every single day. You got to be active. You got to post the stories. You got to make sure you're liking and commenting. It's like a full-time job, in my opinion, to run your own brand. And especially now that COVID has hit, it's suddenly become really important for a lot of players and teams and organizations to start taking social media pretty seriously. So what do you really think the future looks like for now?
So I think when it comes to the future of the social media with the pandemic actually happening now, I think it comes down to I don't know, truthfully speaking, my side here, we're still struggling here to try and connect our players and also our counterparts all the way in Indonesia for Bigetron. But when we talk, we try and discuss here, it's there are a lot of things we cannot do, there are a lot of things we can do. So we end up focusing on social media, try and talk to people, make content, and it comes down to we are trying to focus from the back end side to help our players make content as a manager side. So my side, the players, they only know how to play. Not all pro players are very good at handling social medias, not really good at focusing on making content. So for us, we help them make content in a way. So hey, how about we figure out like that we talk to our fans? What do our fans like? Like for example, our counterparts in Indonesia, they like this girl and this girl and this girl. So we have, and then we'll be like, okay, why not we just do like a fun one? Like, let's make a post talking who likes this girl, who likes this girl, and who likes this girl. It's a guy thing. It's not really. It's kind of like a sexist thing to do, but that's what our community likes, and then we don't exactly push it all the way through, but we just in the end of the day, it's all about making content. As long as it's not offensive and it's consented by them, sure, we will definitely post it. In the end of the day, I think like right now, I've seen several organizations as well, including ourselves. We are trying to focus on making memes as well, just to keep our community entertained despite nothing much is happening. We also compete in tournaments as well, and whenever there's a tournament, we will just post it up. That's just achievement side. So in the end, it's just making content all the way through. It's very, very important.
So, Monica, as Terence pointed out, like him as a manager and their organization are sort of helping out players build up content. This is the same with the North American organizations.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've definitely moved on from social media being kind of a pure communication tool. I feel like social media used to be like, hey, we're playing in this tournament, or hey, I'm going live now on this platform, or just kind of an announcement board. It used to be, I feel like. And now it's kind of social media has really developed into a proper platform to build kind of a proper presence. So that kind of interaction, like I mentioned before, now I think social media has become less of something you use to just drive traffic to your content or events, and more of something where your content lives, right? Like people will go on Twitter, they want to see the clip of you 1v4ing, that team, or they want to see, there's some funny thing that happened in the game that now you're posting on there, and now you have thousands of views on it because it was hilarious and people are sharing it and stuff. So I think we started just producing, before content sort of just lived on like YouTube, right? You make a YouTube video, you upload it, boom, content. Now it's like clips on Twitter, videos on Instagram, on Facebook, all that stuff. It's just somewhere else for people to consume that content and to build that interaction too as well. So I think kind of like ICYBABY said, people have a fascination for voting. Like you put a vote on Twitter and it won't have that many likes or comments on it, but people will vote on it just to see kind of what the majority of people will kind of vote, or see where their vote will matter as well. And even if it's something really dumb and really goofy, it's just people like to have that they were part of something, or this tweet or this post on Instagram became huge and I was one of the first people who commented on it, something like that. So I think just being able to gear into how your viewers like to use social media and then giving that to them, and that will help you also build your own social media and your brand as well.
All right, and that's very interesting to know, because when everything is going right on social media, you're like on top of the world. What happens when it goes wrong? I mean, sometimes professional players, they're great in the game, and then they come out, they're a little toxic sometimes, things go wrong, sometimes they do get a little agitated. How do they really deal with that negative pressure? Once you go back home, you're just you. There is no fan. There's nobody around you. How does somebody like that deal with that kind of pressure?
It's not easy to actually deal with negativity. I believe everyone will feel down. Not everyone is super strong all the time. It's easy for people in general to actually feel vulnerable. But my best advice for that kind of situation is actually surround yourself with good friends, family, and also good people as well. Make sure you have the best people around you to make sure that to call you out. Let's say, hey, you're being negative right now. Let's be compassionate. No, let's try and give him some time and talk to people. It comes down to their mental health strength. So it's very important to keep yourself in check, especially in downtimes. I believe all of us has somewhere in a part of life we had lowest moment in life, and you need to get out from where you're out, where you're from, because there are times where there is a reason why you're down there, because you might have made might have done things that you should not have done in the past. Maybe that's the reason why you got to where you are. Now you learn from this mistake and then move on. Keep pushing over, keep striving, keep going on. Don't stop, because the moment you take a stop and mope or just like say like, oh, you know what, this sucks, I'm giving up, I quit. That's it for your career. Okay, it's okay to take breaks, but if you take a break to just say, you know what, I'm gonna quit permanently, that's over for your career. So those kind of negativities are bad. Like I'm telling you for a fact, when someone says you can't do it, don't accept, don't feed into the negativity in your brain and say, I'm not great. No, you need to shut them out. You need to you prove yourself and say, you know what? You think I'm not great? I'm going to prove to you I'm the best. I'm going to work 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day is bad. Work like 12 hours, focusing like 4 hours. I'm going to study how to play better. 4 hours to analyze competition gameplays. 4 hours to just practice your aim, or practice your gameplay, practice with team, etc. So managing all those things, and then just say, you know what, I can do this. Just strive on. You gotta have a very, very positive attitude and just go for it, because all those negative, trust me, is gonna make you feel so bad, and you're just gonna mess up your entire career or maybe your life. Like you will do some really, really bad stuff, which I'm guilty to say I've done it before, and I regret it to this day, because those are times that you will lose, and you just regret it today. Because as a pro player, you must understand age is a very, very, very big factor. The younger you are, the faster you are. The older you get, such as myself,
So old.
you realize that your reactions are getting slower, really, really bad. So time is of the essence, especially when it comes to feeding those negative emotions. It's if you waste so much time saying that I'm bad, I'm shit, yeah, you're gonna waste like 1 week's worth of time, which other people spend that 1 week training for the next tournament, or making content, or going to the gym to get your six packs. Which I'm sorry to say, we as gamers, not many people do that. Okay, I'm not sure about you guys, but yeah, I'm sad now. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think you just need to kind of focus on the positive. I think there's always going to be that pressure that you can't control, but you can always control how you react to it. So I think, if you, say in 24 hours, right, and then you had the 20 seconds where somebody was being really negative or was being like kind of, really ugly towards you, are you going to let those 20 seconds kind of ruin the rest of your day? I think just making sure you look on the positive side. I think, especially like as a streamer, you go on, and I think a lot of people think you're some like untouchable kind of, that, oh, she's always happy. Like there's never any sort of like kind of sadness or any sort of kind of difference in emotions to her. And I think, yeah, I do have some trolls in my chat where they, they'll say something and they think that, it's classic like keyboard warrior, right? They're behind this anonymous screen. They're not right there. People become so much more courageous when they're not right next to you. Something that they would never say to your face, but they, because they have this like barrier between you. They have no reservations to type like really toxic things or things like that. So I think you just kind of have to remember, this person doesn't know who I am. Just kind of focus on still doing you. So focus on, your goals, your long-term goals, and just not let this one or a couple of people kind of affect you and bring you down.
That was actually an interesting thing, because we are talking about us doing things that we did not mean to do, saying stuff that wasn't meant to be said. But and one interesting factor that Terence brought up was age. Most of the time, people watching, like, okay, the demographic is going to be quite young. It's going to be 15 to 20-year-old. But the players playing the game are also pretty young. And it happens because I have seen this happening wherein a team of young players is not performing, and they are streamers as well, they are content creators as well, and they are not performing well in the tournaments. They are getting so much hate from the fans, and that sort of, the players in turn are scared to stream anymore. So how do you, both of you as managers, how do you sort of help your players deal with that?
I've not experienced something like that before, but um, for me, like I said, there are things that you need. Time is important, right? So, like, there are some moments where you need a break. Yeah, just take the day off. Just take the week off. Okay, anything more than a week, you're killing yourself. So, yeah, I'm not joking. Like, for a gamer, you lose muscle memory in 3 days.
Yeah, you do.
2 to 3 days of not playing, you literally lose memory. 1 week is devastating, especially if you want to become a pro player. So, like, there are some players who, like, I think my team right now, especially, we have gone through like a lot of issues during our grind for PMPLs, and we had internet issues. We had this coronavirus out of nowhere. Our player is all the way in that side states, this side states, getting approval for them to come here, and etc. All that stuff. And then we had like this 2 whole months of league just grinding way through. And the moment we lost, we were so down. But at the same time, there was nothing much we can do because we went through a lot. And we're like, you know what? Let's take the week off and then just do what you gotta do. If you want to stream, stream. If you don't want to stream, it's on you. Then after 1 week, we're back at training. Just go training again, because we all need a break sometimes, because in the end of the day, we're human. We're not Superman. Things in the movies are in the movies. It's not real. Not everything is entirely real, and you gotta make sure to take a breather. We're only human.
Well, that's very well put. It's very interesting to see because all of us seem to be growing old. And Johnny, of course, you're pretty young. You can still go pro if you feel like. When we look at PUBG, it's a very new, fresh game. It's come out only 3 years back. There are a lot of young pro players. But when we look at games like Counter-Strike, Dota 2, so many other big titles like League of Legends, the players are getting older. Do you somewhere feel that at one point in time a player should stop playing pro because of an age gap? Because even Fear, one of a top Dota 2 player, put this up saying that age is not a matter. But Monica, I mean, you're a professional player yourself. What are your thoughts about that?
I think I don't know. I don't think specifically, once you hit the age of 24, stop competing, sort of thing. I think it's more kind of once, eventually you'll get to the point where there's going to be somebody younger, there's going to be somebody faster and better than you. So if you are becoming older, I think trying to, if you, like, I think I heard somebody say, like, around the age 21 is when your reflexes start slowing just a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know.
I think I had this conversation as well with a Chinese pro team from Top Esports. The PUBG Mobile team, Top Esports. I can't remember his name. I think it was Hope, who messaged me on WeChat. I asked him, "Oh my God, I told him, oh my God, you're so young. You're only 18, 21." He's only 18. He responded me in Mandarin. He said, "Bro, that's considered old, bro. That's bad for me, bro." I was like, "Holy shit, you're 18!" And I'm like, "Okay, why?" And then he told me, "Oh, here in our scene, I don't know. Like, I feel like 21 is where people just got better, get really, really bad reactions." And I'm like, not entirely, but I kind of relate as well, because I'm currently 7. Like, my prime time was literally like 24, 25. And then now, like 7, I'm like, oh my God, I was watching back some of my game from back then. It was a music called O2 Jam. And when I was a kid, like I was like 15, 16, I could play the full song of V3 hard in ×5, ×6. And then when I watched that exact same clip yesterday, I was like, I can't even see all of this thing. And I'm like, what happened? I used to be able to memorize every single keynote, type everything. And I'm like, I can't even see it now. I'm like, oh my God, this is bad. And I've been trying to focus on improving my gameplay now even more. And I have to work even harder compared to other people. So when it comes down to just focusing on that, I still refuse to accept that me being 27, I can't compete yet, but I'm still trying to make my way to a pro again. hope, hope, hope,
Hopefully, dreaming of it.
dream.
But yeah, I think just if you're lacking in one skill, try to make up for it in another. Like I know some of the best in-game leaders in North
Mhm.
America, at least they're older. They have the wisdom, they have the kind of maturity to be that leader, where somebody who may have more gun skill than them, who's maybe 10 years younger than them, just is not mature enough or not have any sort of kind of leadership traits. I think trying to maybe fit your way into a different position on the team, but and at the end of the day, this is a squad game, right? It's not all on you to be like the top A player across every sort of skill set that you would have in PUBG Mobile. Surround yourself with other players. If your reaction time is slow, put yourself right next to a player that has an insane reaction time that can make up for it on your team, because this is a team sport.
It is a team sport, and I think I have the perfect transition into the next question, since we are talking about age. How has social media changed from the previous years to now as far as esports are concerned, and what does the future look like?
I think it's unpredictable in the future, because when we talk about the game, right, the kind of games, especially in Southeast Asia from my side, is that back then, like 3 years ago, for myself personally, I was like, yeah, you know what? Nah, mobile games. People told me mobile games not gonna work. Is gonna work, and I'm like, nah, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. I was like, you know what? Dota, CS:GO, League, all the way through. I'm like, yeah, no, mobile game, nah, not gonna work. And then, when we started having mobile game events, like started with Mobile Legends, we were like, what is this crowd? Like, Dota crowd is not as huge as what Mobile Legends is bringing. And then CS:GO tournaments, yeah, like we have a CS:GO tournament. It was pretty big. Yeah, about 1,000, 2,000 came. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, not 1,000, 2,000. We had about like 500, 200 top in like a fully big venue. And then we were like, huh, that's not a lot. And then when it comes to PUBG Mobile Legends, easily filled a whole stadium. Like Mobile Legends, like M1 World Championship, we had it in Malaysia. Easily, almost the entire stadium was full. And I was like, the only time that we had that many people was Dota. It was for KO majors. And besides that, no other games has ever reached that kind of amount. And I'm like, that's why I said, you know what? I think Mobile Legends next esports now. And the reason why I talk about that is because of demographics and also our living standards here in our country as well. Because to play Dota, you don't need an expensive PC, but to play high-end games, you need a really, really expensive rig. And most of the people, including myself, I can't afford an expensive rig. It took me about in my entire career as a caster, 6 years, in esports, about 6 years. It took me 5 years to get a high-end PC for myself. So that's pretty much just wasted time all the way through. Mobile games, mobile phone. Since my first year of esports, I already have a phone. So I think like when it comes to having newer, stronger, better players in the game, I feel like mobile players are gonna be the next compared to PC. I'm sorry to say. I betrayed the PC brothers, man.
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
I think mobile games is definitely just who doesn't have a cell phone right now, sort of thing. And I think that especially in like India and like Malaysia and Asia, just in general, where I think mobile games is just way bigger than it is in North America, just because I think PC is still kind of the standard, kind of the focus in North America. But it's just I think it's just crazy. I was in Malaysia for PUBG Mobile Club Open last November, where I met ICYBABY, and then I was in China in Xi'an for the Peacekeeper Elite Championship as well. And it was just seeing the crowds like in Asia, just I think it was it YouTube Gank? I think it was, yeah, it was there. I think it was just literally like 75% of the crowd in Malaysia at PMCO global finals was just absolute insanity, and it was just crazy to see. So I think just mobile gaming, I think, is just definitely going to be taking off even more than it has already.
Well, that's great. That's good news. We all need to go buy more better phones and throw away our PCs. Sadly, but of course, that also brings us very close to the end of our podcast. Before we all go away, of course, I do want to bring up one very important question since we've all been in the scene for quite a while. What do you wish you had known when you had started out? Because we've all been here for quite a while, and I think that would be a great way for us to end this today.
Not being a being egoistic, because when I was younger, I was kind of like a privileged kind of player where I'm the best player. You know what? I'm the best. You know, I'm egoistic. And truthfully speaking, back then I didn't know anything. I don't give a crap about social media. And I thought like being the best at the game is just all that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. So I just had that mental attitude, which pushed people away. And I'm like, you know what? Screw that, because that thing is gonna kill you. Because it really killed me for at least the first 2 years, because I was struggling. I was trying to make scraps off the table. So after that, I learned to become much humble now. I'm still a little bit picky, a little bit egoistic, but I learned to give in a lot more. And after that, I make more friends, because it's easier to make friends by just and being humble instead of just being a dick and an who's just like, you know what? I'm freaking richer than you. Don't talk to me. You piece of shit, blah 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 blah. That's just being a like. Come on, nobody likes a like that. And if you're like being nice and like, hey Monica, how's your day? You look great in red. Oh my god, you're so pretty. And it's easier to have a conversation with Monica right now because I'm just being sweet. And it's true, she looks great in red.
Yeah, I think I wish I guess was more, what's the word? Just, I guess, more open to others. I think when I first started streaming, I remember the first time I ever started streaming was last January is when I casted for the very first time, had my own channel, my own kind of pro scrims that I put together. I was too afraid to interact with like chat. Like I literally was, like spectating the match. I never looked at chat because I was too afraid because there was like hundreds of people watching and I was just like too afraid to like read the comments or anything like that. So I think just being able to put myself out there, kind of be vulnerable and be able to show that you're real. You don't want to put on kind of like this fake persona or anything like that. So I think just kind of just showing people who you really are and they'll come to love you for it. And I think that's something I really wish I did a little bit more, just kind of really just show myself more at the very beginning.
Well, Zara, I would like to hear your thoughts on this as well, since you have also been one of the OGs in the Indian gaming community. I mean, you were one of the streamers that I used to follow, and I don't even play Dota, so that's on this.
Well, I think it's very similar to Monica in this. I've always been somebody on the camera, but never really gone ahead and spoken to a lot of people or tried to interact with a lot of them. And I see today's influencers, they spend a lot of time doing that, and that's how they have become who they are. And sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And I wish I was a little bit more interactive. She's right about that. You never read the comment section. Monica, have you ever read your comment section? You just do, right? Do you ever read your comment section? Like whenever you post something, I just don't read the comment section.
I remember, okay, when I first casted scrims and stuff, like it'd be like a 3 or 4 hour like stream, right? The next day, I would literally go back and read every single one. Like I would spend the night, like the next day for 4 hours, read every single one. Because it's like, is it like, do people like my casting, or like what do I need to improve, or stuff like that. I remember, and I think now I do still read the comments, but I take it with a grain of salt. Like we said before, some of these kids are like 12 years old, keyboard warrior, they'll say anything, so sometimes I'll read a comment and be like, do I want to take the effort of responding to this person for the next 2 hours? That's probably going to end up just me being even more frustrated than I was before, or just kind of you just kind of respond nonchalantly and just move on, sort of thing. So I think I've gotten a lot better with just kind of knowing when, being able to identify those trolls, knowing when it's, you know, an actual person that I need to respond to, and when it's also just going to be a big waste of time. So I think I've got a lot better at that.
I think I've got really, really amazing experience when we talk about reading comments. Because like
Yeah.
I think when I first started out, like my Instagram boomed from like 200 followers to like 18K now. It hit like on 15K mark like 1 week, 2 weeks. Back then when I was doing casting for the first PMCO in China. So what happened was that me, Matt Toy, and the host for PMCO was Pepper. We created our Instagram more or less the same time. And we were like, you know what, let's do this because it's fun. So we made contents all the way through. Like we made contents about this player, with contents about this guy, and I even made a content where I paid one of the pro players 500 yuan, which is like 300 ringgit, which is about 80 US dollars, to jump inside the pool, and he did it. And we're like, the PUBG Mobile Facebook pages shared everything, and we had like 800,000 views just on that video itself. So when we talk about comments, right, what was really insane was that for me, Matt Toy, and also Pepper, what we did was that while we were growing our followers, people kept messaging us, keep texting us, keep commenting us. We spent our time. The moment we had a tournament, we back in the hotel, we're just in the lobby, texting every single one. So I took 1 hour to reply about 90 messages. And Matt Toy was like, you know what? It took me an hour to reply like 200 messages, and we were getting like thousands of messages non-stop. So we replied it, and our page just grew in like 1 week. My page grew all the way to like 13,000 followers just on Instagram. I just text everyone, reply. Every comment that came in, and that 1 week, my insights, especially for my stories and content, reach all the way to 6.8 million reaches minimum in 1 week. So that whole 3 weeks was just like millions and millions of views and talking, and we just texting every single day, hours and hours of texting, 4 hours texting, replying to message. Oh, I'm saying like a simple hi, like some random troll just comes in, hi, I like you. Oh, and I would just reply, hey, I like you too. You're great. Thank you for following. And they were like, oh my God, thank you for replying me. And they'll be like, oh, I did not expect you to reply me. I thought people don't reply at all, blah, 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 blah. So that's what I did for that whole season. And the moment I came back from PMCO China, I was like, oh, finally, I have good internet now. Sorry, because China, they have to block everything, right? So when I back to Malaysia, I was like, yeah, I can do my own stuff now. And when they start messaging, I was like, oh, it started became really tedious and tiring. And I stopped texting. And that is where all my content and insights just went down.
Dive bombed.
It just took a dive. And now I'm still not texting because I'm trying to balance between managing my team and also taking care of my kid. So for me, replying messages, I'm like, I don't know, like COVID, I'm like, yeah, I tried to text here and there. And I compared my data between now and back then. I was like, now I'm like, I post a picture. Yeah, for Instagram, 1,000 likes, 2,000. Yeah. Back then I post, boom, 6,000, 7,000, easy. But so for me, talking to people, it's very, very important. Very, very, very important for me. That's just me on a real life case basis, just for me. I'm not sure about Matt Toy. He's doing way much more from the Southeast scene. I think the Cambodian scene as well. I think some of the pro players, I've met them. I did not know they could play music. I made a few contents with them. They boomed as well. Now they're like superstars. I'm like, oh, they're congrats. And they keep talking to people. And when I watch the stream, like just before now, I was watching onto Stalker from Orange Esports. Bam, 2,000 concurrent just watching him play. Yeah, it's not that great, but it's still a start. And I'm like talking to people, playing. I'm like, wow. Just wow.
All right. So that is pretty exciting, no? Because it's a very similar story with me. The fact that when you're active, you got to be really active. And the minute you start slowing down, everything really just slides. But you can't really always have that as a priority. And maybe, Monica, you could give us one quick tip before we end this call on how do you really handle this kind of problem? Because not every pro player will be removing those hours to handle their brand, handle their game, and then go ahead and reply to people. Is there a way to work around it, or do you just get a social media team?
I think it's kind of setting up the expectations for your followers. Like I had a friend who uploaded YouTube videos, right, almost every single day, and he never had a thumbnail sort of thing, and that just became like a running gag, like a running kind of joke. That's what the viewers were always expecting. That, you know, so it was nothing of the norm. You know, this is what they followed him for. Is just to, you know, great videos and then no thumbnails, which is not what I recommend to do. But I think it's also kind of setting up the expectations. Also, I think there's you know, like when you are at like a LAN, like ICYBABY said, or you're at a tournament sort of thing, that's when everyone is focused on you. Like I think one of the first LAN tournaments that we had in North America, I live streamed it from my phone. Basically, like across 4 days, I think I live streamed 60 hours. It was something really ridiculous like that. It was just like I just did not stop streaming, and it was just people were just tuning in, and they were just, because I think when you're at a LAN like that, like these pro players, there, you know, I was with my team, I was with all the other teams and stuff. I think you're kind of at the epitome of, you know, what every single PUBG Mobile player wants to be. They want to be at those tournaments. They want to be, you know, playing professionally and stuff like that. So I think back to my original, I think it's just kind of what kind of standard, what kind of expectation you set for your followers, so they can always know what to expect from you. So you don't kind of be inconsistent where you're like super responding and then they can't get a hold of you and now they think you're just ignoring them, sort of thing. So I think just stay consistent with what works for you and then what works for your brand.
All right. Thank you so much. You'll have been amazing. I'm so glad you'll join us today. And I think you'll have answered most of the questions that I'm sure our audience would have asked. We'll definitely ask the audience to send some more in once this goes live. And we can definitely send them across to you. And then, Terence, you'll have to open your DM and reply to them.
Sorry, what?
You can open your Instagram direct message and then reply to them over there.
Reply what?
Reply to all the various questions that will come to you after the
Everyone
yes.
flood his DMs.
If you flood my DM, I'll try my best to reply. I swear, if you really flood my DM, I swear I'll reply every single one of them. If I don't reply, you can cook my. You can't cook my door. You can cook my McDonald's.
What?
Sorry, you can cook my chicken and
Where are you going with this?
feed it to the dogs.
Hey, I just sent you a DM on Instagram and you haven't responded to it yet.
Because
Wow.
I'm doing this.
Wow.
Hi.
Hi.
I'll text it now. Give me a sec.
I just said hi.
Hello, Monica. How is your day? I texted you. Oh, can you see it?
I said,
Yeah,
wonderful.
I replied.
This is amazing interaction.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You did that. You said you, just as a you.
Well, Varun, any final closing words before these two continue their conversation on DM?
Well, I guess Terence has started replying, and we have a lot of new pointers for the players and the people who are getting into social media and sort of starting their journey as an influencer. Basically, be humble, don't be a dick, as Terence said, and as Monica pointed out, you need to be open to new things. You need to try out new stuff, and if you are working hard enough, it's going to work out. Once again, thank you to the both of you for being with us, spending like your precious time on this podcast. And to our viewers, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and following us on our Instagram for the next episode as soon as it will come out. For now, it's gonna be a good night, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.